Have you ever wondered, why is it that when you start to regain balance, focus on yourself and move forward, your ex, the one who used to avoid emotions and left you behind, suddenly reappears? What's really going on in their mind? This is not a coincidence, but an interesting psychological phenomenon related to emotions, control, and even their fears. In today's video, we'll dive deep into why exes tend to come back just when you start living your own life. Stay tuned so you don't miss out on surprising insights. And if you want to better understand how to handle this situation, be sure to hit the subscribe button for more useful content. Let's get started. Number 1. Fear of losing control. Have you ever noticed that when you finally start to stabilize and find peace after a breakup, your ex suddenly reappears? It's not because they truly miss you or regret their decision to leave. It's their ego being triggered by the fear of losing control. During the relationship, they were used to you being the one who waited, forgave easily, and overlooked their mistakes. You were a source of validation for their ego. They felt secure knowing that no matter what they did, you would still be there. But when you withdraw, stop seeking them out, stop sacrificing, it's like you're taking away the invisible power they once held. Imagine this: someone used to holding the reins, controlling the direction of a horse. But now, the horse no longer obeys them. You have taken off the reins yourself and started running on your own path. They realize there is no way to call you back. That's when their ego feels panicked and empty, not because they lost you, but because they lost control over you. When you start focusing on yourself, taking care of your mental and physical health, or simply finding happiness that doesn't involve them, it causes a great shock. Your independence is like a mirror reflecting the truth they've been trying to ignore. You don't need them to exist. And that threatens their ego, making them feel small and insignificant. But what's important, they don't come back because of genuine love. They come back to reaffirm that they can still hold a part of your life. It's an attempt to recover lost power, not true remorse. A typical example is the story of a woman who shared that after ending a toxic relationship, she focused on rebuilding herself and living a new life. After months of no contact, her ex suddenly texted, pretending to care. "How are you doing? I really want to see you." But then he admitted, "Actually, I can't stand the fact that you can forget me. I just want to make sure you still think about me." That's not love, but an ego that can't bear becoming unimportant. Remember, their presence doesn't reflect your worth, but reflects their own inner fear and insecurity. Number 2, they process emotions slowly. When it comes to avoidant exes, a prominent characteristic is their extremely slow emotional processing. Initially, after the breakup, they often feel relieved, as if they have been freed from a burden. They are confident in their decision, believing that leaving you is the right step, but that freedom and comfort is only a temporary feeling. Like a smoldering fire, their true emotions need time to erupt, and by the time they realize it, things have started to change. This stems from the way they avoid and suppress emotions. Psychologically, avoidant people tend to avoid complex emotional issues. They don't want to face hurt, pain, or any emotion that makes them feel vulnerable. Therefore, they will dismiss or ignore those feelings as soon as they appear. Instead of accepting and processing the pain of the breakup, they cover it up with indifference and focus on external things like work, friends, or other relationships. However, emotions cannot be ignored forever. As time passes and external stimuli are no longer strong enough to fill the void, they begin to feel your absence distinctly. That's when they realize that the little things, once a familiar part of their lives, like caring messages, intimate conversations, or even your presence, are now completely gone. And that disappearance not only makes them feel empty, but also awakens a deep-seated fear that they have lost something irreplaceable. One factor that makes them process emotions slowly is that they initially don't realize the true consequences of the breakup. They may think that you will always be there, that if they want, they can come back anytime. But when you start moving on, when you focus on yourself, develop your career, or even seek new relationships, they begin to realize that you no longer belong to them. and this truth, when it comes late, makes them unable to ignore their own emotions. A common example is when you stop all contact, they may start to imagine that you have found happiness elsewhere. This makes them feel not only loss, but also fear. Questions like, did I make a mistake letting that person go? Why can they live well without me begin to appear in their minds. They start to feel regret, but this regret does not always stem from genuine love, but often from insecurity and fear that you have moved beyond their reach. Notably, this slow emotional processing often causes them to return when you have almost healed or found balance in your life. This creates a complex cycle. They come when you are okay, but their return can confuse you and pull you back into the emotional vortex once again. Number 3, the repetitive cycle. Avoidant exes don't come back randomly. This usually stems from a repetitive psychological cycle that they themselves don't realize. When they break up, they feel comfortable and relieved because they don't have to deal with complex emotions. They believe that leaving helps them avoid pressure and responsibility in the relationship. But this comfort is only temporary. Your absence makes them realize the things they previously took for granted, from care and listening to the feeling of security when being with you. This makes them feel insecure and urges them to come back, not because they are ready to change, but because they want to restore the initial feeling of comfort. This cycle usually goes like this. Initially, they leave to avoid facing emotions or responsibilities in the relationship. When you step back, they step forward, expressing a desire to return. But as the relationship becomes closer, they feel pressured and continue to step back. This action is not because they have no feelings, but because they don't know how to manage emotions and intimacy in a relationship. For example, you may have experienced this situation. After breaking up, they don't contact you for a few weeks or months. You spend time focusing on yourself, improving your life, and almost forgetting about them. Suddenly, they appear with messages like, "I really miss you," or "Can we try again?" Initially, you feel hopeful, thinking that things will be different. But after a short time, they gradually become distant, making you fall into a cycle of disappointment. The key point in this cycle is that they are not truly ready to face emotions or long-term commitment. They want you close, but not too close. They need your presence to fill the void, but don't want to face the demands of a healthy relationship. This makes the relationship a tiring loop, hurting both sides. Number 4, the push and pull effect. The push and pull effect is one of the typical characteristics of avoidant people, and it is the reason why you feel confused and tired in the relationship. This behavior is often repeated. When you actively approach and express affection, they feel threatened and anxious about facing the emotions they always avoid. They retreat, but when you start to step back, no longer take the initiative, and shift your focus to yourself, they are attracted and reappear. This is a rather complex psychological cycle. When you stop trying to hold on and no longer express interest, the avoidant person will feel like they are losing something they once believed was always under their control. They begin to wonder, why is he no longer trying? Has he found someone else? These questions do not stem from genuine love, but from insecurity and fear of losing control. For example, when you stop all contact, stop trying to maintain the relationship, and focus on work, hobbies, or personal life, they will feel the difference in your energy. They are no longer the center of your life. This makes them anxious and motivates them to come back, not to build a healthy relationship, but to reaffirm the control they once had. They want to know that you are still there, still have feelings for them, and that they still hold you. However, when they return, the push and pull behavior continues. They will do everything to attract you, sweet messages, promises, even romantic actions, to make you believe that things will change. But when you start to open up again and try to build a relationship, they step back. They are not ready to face intimacy or deep emotions. And the important thing to understand is that this behavior does not stem from true love. Avoidant people don't intentionally hurt you, but their fear and insecurity prevent them from building a healthy and lasting relationship. Number 5, you have reclaimed your power. Imagine yourself when the relationship ended. You may have felt empty, lost, as if a part of you had been taken away. But then, over time, step by step, you stood up. You realized that life doesn't end there. You started rebuilding yourself, stronger, more confident, and even more radiant. When you focus on yourself, you inadvertently send a very powerful message. I don't need to rely on anyone to be happy. I stand on my own 2 feet. That's when your personal power returns, shining brightly like an inextinguishable flame. And the magic here is they realize that. The one who left can feel the change, whether they admit it or not. Your independence and confidence become a strong attraction, not because you intentionally try to impress, but because you are living true to your best self. However, it's worth noting, when they come back, it's not always because they want to seriously invest in the relationship. Sometimes it's just their attempt to regain control, to reaffirm their worth in your eyes. They want to check if you still put them at the center of your life. But you know what? This time things are different. You are no longer the one who waited for late-night messages, no longer the one who sacrificed everything to hold on to someone who didn't appreciate you. This time, you have matured, you are stronger, and you have realized that your worth does not depend on whether someone stays or not. Your strength comes not only from moving on, but also from learning to love yourself more. You have taken the time to heal, to grow, and to discover hidden potentials that you never even thought of. And here is the truth that you need to engrave in your heart. Their return is not proof of your worth. Your worth has existed from the beginning, you just forgot about it. Now, you don't need anyone else to confirm that. So, when they come back, look at the truth. Don't let sweet words or vague promises sway you. Ask yourself, have they really changed, or are they just afraid of losing the power they once held? Because if they are not ready to invest in a healthy and mature relationship, their return is just a shadow of the past, not an opportunity for the future. You have reclaimed your power. Hold it tight. Don't let anyone, including them, dim the light you have worked hard to ignite. Instead, keep shining, because you deserve better things, healthier relationships, and a life that you are in control of. Sometimes the return of an ex is not a confession of love or regret, but simply a self-defense mechanism of the ego, an attempt to cling to the lost control. Avoidant people often don't show up to mend the cracks in the relationship, but to face the emptiness they can't fill with anything else. They come back not because they have changed, but because they see the change in you, the one who has learned to stand firm, strong, and confident on their own path. And that scares them, not because they lost you, but because they lost the sense of security you once brought. But you know what? What really matters is not why they come back, but how you choose to react. You have gone through days of suffering, endured cycles of hurt, and now you have learned to love yourself more than ever. Their return is not destiny, nor is it the answer to your happiness. It's just a part of their story, and you have every right to continue writing your own story, the way you deserve. Remember, you don't have to accept the old pieces if they no longer fit the picture you are building. You deserve a complete love where every moment is harmony, not a struggle for attention or control. A love that you don't have to doubt, don't have to wonder if the other person really wants to be with you. Finally, give yourself the right to be prioritized. Choose yourself before any return, before any belated apology. Because only when you know your worth can you build healthy relationships where you are not only loved but also cherished. And if someone wants to enter your life, make sure they are worthy of the best version of you, the version you have painstakingly built from wounds and challenges. Keep moving forward, but not just to walk, but to shine. Because you deserve that brilliant light, a light that no one can dim, not even the past.